Hello guys and welcome back to the part 2 of question and answer session in which we are discussing about coordination chemistry along with D block and halogens. To check the part 1 of this content, click the link given in the description box. Now let's move to the question number 62. They are asking about cerium whose atomic number is 58 is an important member of lanthanoid. Which of the following statement about cerium is incorrect, they are asking. Okay, fine. So now let's talk about cerium. You know that lanthanoids, the most common state of the lanthanoid, the entire series from lanthanum to lutetium. The entire series is having a most common state is +3 followed by +4 also sometimes. Okay. So, well known oxidation state of cerium are yes, of course 3 and 4. The +3 oxidation state of cerium is more stable than +4. Yes, that is also true because their +3 is more stable than +4. If you check the value of E naught of cerium +4 to cerium +3, that is mentioned that it is positive, which means that cerium wants to go from here to here. So, +3 is obviously more stable. Now, the +4 oxidation state of cerium is not known in the solution, no. Although the cerium +3 is more stable than +4, it does not mean that it will not be known. It is just like that out of iron +3 and iron +2, the tendency of +2 is more, but when you take in water, it does not mean that iron +3 will not exist. Both can coexist in the solution, right. So, the +3 state of cerium is more stable, that is correct, and the +4 oxidation state of cerium is not known in the solution, that is obviously wrong. So, this is incorrect statement. And now cerium 4 is an oxidizing agent that just now I told you. So, the correct answer is only third. Okay. Now, moving to the next one, question number 63. So, what it is asking? Larger number of oxidation states are exhibited by the actinoids than those by the lanthanoids, the main reason being. Now, to understand this, see, if you are talking about the larger number of oxidation state, what does it essentially means that? So, if we have F electron and if we have D electron, say for example, if we have F3 and say for example, if we have D5. So, now when will be the case of larger number of oxidation state? So, energy wise you know that D will be on higher after rearrangement. So, it should remove the electron first. If the energy difference between these two will be less, then even F can also be removed. But if the energy gap between F and D, I mean like this on energy scale, if suppose D is lying somewhere here and F is lying somewhere here. So, if you are going to remove this electron, and if the gap is too high, then the removal of electron from F will be very difficult. Then in that case, the range of oxidation will not be very great. But if suppose they are very close to each other, suppose F is here, right, and D is somewhere here, then in that case removal of electron from here and at the same time from here also, it will be quite easy as compared to when we have the gap which is larger. So, lesser energy difference between 5F and 60 than 4F and 5D, that seems to be correct. Let me tell you one more thing. When you increase n, principal quantum number, the subsequent energy gap between the two continuously decreases. That means, if you are talking about the difference of energy between 2s and 2p, then of course it is very large. Between 3s and 3p is a bit less. Between 4s and 4p, a bit even less. Between 5s and 5p, even less. So, like that, when you increase the principal quantum number, the corresponding set of orbitals have lesser energy gap. So, obviously 5F and 60 have lesser energy gap, and that is the reason. So, my answer would be straight away first one. Now, let us look at the other option as well. More energy difference between 5F and 60, that is wrong. More reactive nature, that has no meaning. 4F orbital more diffuse than 5F. So that has nothing to do with this thing. In fact, it is wrong also, because phi f is more larger and more diffused. Okay. Now moving to the another question 64. Now the ionization isomer of this they are asking. So if you know the ionization isomer rates when you exchange different negative ion between coordination to ionosphere. So if you are exchanging this NO2 with this Cl, then only ionization isomer will be generated. So just look at the option and try to figure out. So I found the option 2 in which chlorine came inside and Na2 went outside. So my answer would be straight away second one, right. Now let's move to the next question 65. Which of the following pair represent a linkage? So for a linkage isomer, you know that an ambidentate ligand is required. Ambidentate. So ambidentate, you remember ambidentate ligand like Cn minus, like SCN minus, like CNO minus. Okay. So just look at it. Okay, we received the first thing itself, NCS and SCN. So directly we can answer this 1. Now for the remaining, you can see it is not linkage, rather it is ionization. So like that you can compare for the rest. My answer would be 1. Now moving to the question number 66. Which isomerism is exhibited by this and this pair? Now look at this, they have the same molecular formula, 1 cobalt, 1 chromium, 6 ammonia, 6 cyanide. Yes, that is there. So what is essentially happening? That means the entire set of ligand which was earlier with cobalt now changed to chromium. That's what it is happening. So whenever such type of thing happens, that exchange of the entire ligands happen from one coordination sphere to other, means between cationic and anionic one, then that is termed as coordination isomerism. So answer will be coordination. So it is very basic definition actually. Now moving to the question number 67. The oxidation state of molybdenum in its oxido complex species is. Now here you need to understand one very important word, that whenever oxygen is written normally without bracket, okay, that means O4. So which type of oxygen is that? Oxygen may exist in multiple form, my dear. It may exist in O2 0 form, it may exist in O2 minus 2 form, peroxide, it may exist in O2 minus 1 form, right. It may exist even in O minus 2 form. So look at the word that they have already mentioned, that's why oxido means O minus 2. Minus 2, this is in minus 2 state. So now can't we calculate that? So let us assume that molybdenum is in oxidation state X. So let's apply the rule of oxidation. Sum of oxidation number of each species will be equal to the charge on the species. So what is MO? Oxidation number is X. How many MO? 2. So let us sum the charges. So 2 into X, okay, plus. How many oxygen? 4. What is the charge on each oxygen? Minus 2. Plus, I hope you understand this, C2H4 is a neutral ligand. So plus 2 into 0. Now water is also neutral, plus 2 into 0, and the whole charge is actually minus 2. Now if you solve it, you will get that 2x is equal to, that will be basically 8 minus 2, which is nothing but 6. So now just divide with 2, you will get the value of x to be plus 3. So the correct answer in this case will be plus 3. Now moving to the next, the formula of the complex. Now look at the word here, tris ethylene diamine, means tris means 3 times ethylene diamine, and cobalt in plus 3 state and thereafter sulfate. So from till here to here they are in the complex. So now let us look at the, let us draft that. Let us draft the cationic part. Now cobalt is there in plus 3 state, all right, and thereafter ene is there. How many ene? 3. Okay, now can you tell me the total charge on the complex? Yes, it is having 0, it is having plus 3, so overall charge will be plus 3. Now you have to balance it with the sulfate ion, because look at this, at the end they have written sulfate. What is the charge on sulfate? Minus 2. So can't you balance these two? Now simply cross multiply here and here. So what will be the answer? So CO in whole thrice, whole twice in fact, and thereafter sulfate whole thrice, just by balancing the charge. So just match which one is actually matching with this. So yes, the correct answer will be fourth. Now moving to the next question is the formula of the complex. The next one is the correct IUPAC name for the compound CONH3 whole 4 ClONO Cl. Now you know what is the name of this? AMMINE, amine. Okay, and the name of this? Chlorido, as per the latest nomenclature. What is the name of ONO? So nitrito, from which end it is joining? Basically O, so we can name it like nitrito O. Right, so the final name will be what? It will be tetraamine chlorido nitrito O. And what is the charge on the cobalt? You just balance it, -1, -1 and -1. So it will be plus 3. So cobalt 3 and thereafter normal chloride ion is. So let's look at, we have tetraamine chlorido nitrito N. So which is wrong because it is joined through ON. Now I will be searching for where is the tetraamine, this one. So yes, this is correct, you can see that. So the correct answer will be fourth one. Now let's look at the 70th question. So complex ion this is named as, coordination number of the central metal ion in the complex is 6. Now this is really interesting, because this option can be, once again as I told you, that whenever oxygen is there, it can be anything, O-2, it can be O2-2, even it can be in 0 state, it can be in -1 state. So how to identify that? The first sign is that it is taken inside the bracket, which means that it may be either this one, or maybe pure O2, which is having 0. Now how to figure it out? One of the best way of checking it is just balance the charge and just check it out whether it, by writing which name it contains, the complex contains total -4 charge. Okay, so I will be writing in front of this with the help of the name that is given, and let's match which is going to be correct. So let's discuss about first one, azido superoxido. So azido means nitrogen, this one, and you know this is in -1 state, and oxygen superoxido. Right, so I'll just simply paste it here just to check it out, our numbering pattern. So azido, that means -1. Look at here, iron, how much they have given? +2. So if I will write +2, nitrogen as -1, and 3 as -1, and thereafter they have written superoxido. Superoxido means O2 -1. Okay, so it will be -1 once again. So SCN is how much? Obviously thiocyanide have again -1. So basically -4. So let us sum these charges, how much it is coming out to be. So this will come out as +2, and this -2 will be cancelled out. So overall charge is minus. So is it there? Answer is yes. So obviously this one seems to be correct. Now let's similarly look at the other option as well and try to match it. Now for the others, in this similar way, you try azido, that means this in -1, dioxygen, that means 0 charge, tetrathiocyaneto means -4, and iron they have given in +3. So let's look at what will be the sum of this whole thing? So this will be 3 minus 5. So what will be the charge total? This will be minus 2. But what is the actual charge here? Minus 4. Minus 4. That means it is not matching. So this is not correct. Likewise, you can try for all of them. And you will find that only the first one is that which is matching with the result. So that's how you are supposed to proceed for this. Now let's move to another question. Question number 71. Now what they are asking, how many EDTA molecules are required to make an octahedral complex with calcium ion? And that's really simple, because you know that complex with calcium is formed in octahedral manner in this way. So you need to understand one thing. What is the denticity of this EDTA? It is hexadentate. That means a single molecule is capable of forming the octahedral complex with calcium ion. So this is like this. Nitrogen end used to be here, CH2 and CH2, and nitrogen used to be here. So it is donating pair of electron. Thereafter we have CH2 and CO. Once again O minus is donating. Similarly CH2 and C double bond O, once again O minus is donating. So like that here also, my dear, O minus is donating, and here also O minus is donating. So you can see that in this particular case, the single EDTA species is capable of forming all the 8 bonds, all the 6 bonds required by the central atom. So yes, so how many of the EDTA is required? Answer is just 1. Alright. Now let's talk about question number 72. So what it says, question number 72 says that the coordination number of the coordination number and the oxidation state of the element M in the complex this. So what is the denticity of this oxalate? So oxalate is also a bidentate, means denticity is 2. So with metal ion it will be donating basically 2. So it will be contributing to the coordination number per molecule 2. Similarly, ene is also bidentate. So per molecule it can donate 2. So 2 into 2. So total number of bond that is formed, or the number of atom that is directly attached with the metal, is 6. So what is the coordination number? Answer is 6. Coordination number is 6. Now let's talk about the oxidation state, that you can calculate very easily. Assume that it will be x, then just apply the rule x plus 2 into 0. What is the charge on oxalate? Minus 2. So minus 2, and outside NO2 how much charge? Minus 1, and that will be equal to 0. So from here x came out to be 3. So we got the charge to be 3. So this oxidation state is actually 3. So what is the sum of that? So 6 plus 3, which is coming out to be 9. Is that clear? It was very simple question. And now let's talk about the 73rd question. Sum of the highest stable oxidation state of the following. Highest stable oxidation state. Highest stable oxidation state. Now please understand, highest stable oxidation state for chromium, for scandium is how much? Plus 3. Zinc is flat, obviously plus 2. And titanium is how much? Plus 4. Manganese, you know, highest is plus 7. Chromium is plus 6, and they are all quite stable also. So can we just sum them? So 3 plus 2 plus 4, 5 and 4 9, and plus 7 16, and plus 6 16, and 6 22. So according to me the correct answer will be 22. Now let's move to the question number 74, and let's talk about one by one. So how many of the given statements are true for the lanthanoids? I have discussed one of the thing related to lanthanoid in the beginning. Now let's talk about once again, just let's have a quick reminder. The common oxidation state of lanthanoid is +3. Yes, that's true. All the lanthanoid belong to group 3 of the modern periodic table. If you want to see that, I would like to show you the structure, this one. Can you see here? What is the group number of this lanthanoid? So this is 1, this is group number 2, this is third one. So here actually lanthanum is there, and every single element of this lanthanoid series are stacked one above another here only. So what is the group number of the entire lanthanoid? The group number is 3. And what is the period number? So this one is 6th period. You can count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6th one. So period number is 6 and group number is 3. So group number 3 and period number 6. That's what the thing associated with the lanthanoids. So yes, now let's look at once again. So yes, the first one is correct. Group number 3, yes, that is also correct. Belong to 7th period, that's wrong. The radii of all the lanthanoid cations decreases from cerium to lutetium, that's true, because when you move from left to right in the periodic table, that means from here to here, and that in their ionic state the sizes regularly decrease. So the highest will be for the lanthanum. And now let's move to the next one. That means this one is also correct. Now for the fifth option, the basic character of the hydroxide increases from cerium hydroxide to lutetium. So as you know that the basic strength is proportional to basic strength of oxide or hydroxide is proportional to ionic character, and ionic character is inversely proportional to polarizing power of the cation. So if you move from cerium to lutetium, the size of the ion decreases. So if size will decrease, that means polarizing power, which is charge by size ratio, if size decreases, polarizing power increases. So if polarizing power increases from here to here, which means ionic character decreases. So ionic character decreases means basic strength should also decrease. So this option is wrong, because it is saying that increases from cerium to lutetium. So that is wrong. Now moving to the next one, lanthanoid combines with the hydrogen to form LnH3 when heated gently. Yes, that's true, because all the lanthanoids are stable in +3 state. So when they were combined, when they are heated with hydrogen, and they form Ln in +3 and hydrogen in -1. So that LnH3 compound. Similarly, if you look at the reducing power of the lanthanoid decreases from cerium to lutetium, that seems reasonable, because the stability of the +3 is highest. If you talk about the relative stability of +3, then obviously cerium +3 is better, and like continuously it decreases from cerium to lutetium. So fine, and so that means that is true. The last one is when it reacts with water. So yes, the reaction with water is, so like any metal who is active, like sodium, that evolves hydrogen gas and form hydroxide, in the same way lanthanoid also does, and they form hydroxide LnOH whole thrice, and along with that hydrogen gas is evolved. So that is also true according to me. So the whole answer will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So all together there are total 6 statements true. Now let's move to the final question for today, and that is question number 75. So number of the statement which are true for cyanide ion, which is a pseudo halide ion, in its resemblance with Cl minus, Br minus and I minus. So as you know that many other are also there, which are pronounced as pseudo halides, like N3 minus, okay, like SCN minus, and many more are there. So they are asking about which of the following property of Cn minus will match with this, match with these species. So you know that Cl, Br and I forms what? Diatomic species. So in which two constituent particles are there, that means Cl2. So like that it also forming Cn2, so that is correct. HCN, yes, because they form HCl, HBr, HI. So like that it is forming HCN. It form insoluble salt with this. So you know that chloride, bromide and iodide of Ag plus, Pb plus 2 and Hg2 plus 2, they are all in PPT form. So Cl minus or Br minus or I minus, they all become precipitate. So yes, even cyanide also forms precipitate. It forms large number of complexes similar to halide ion. That is also true. A little correction is there. Here it will be -3. Okay. And moving to the next statement, AgCN is insoluble in water but soluble in ammonia like AgCl. Yes, that is also true, because AgCl, when taken with ammonia in water, it forms AgNH3 whole twice complex Cl minus, which becomes soluble in water. Right. So like that, even AgCN is also insoluble in water but soluble in ammonia, because it forms complex in that. So the last option, that is HCN, can be oxidized similar to HCl. Yes, like HCl after oxidation forms what? Cl2. Right. Similarly, it forms what? CN2. So furthermore, it can be oxidized, but yes. So all of these statements are resembling the whole thing. So my answer will be all of these. That means 3, 4, 5 and 6. So final answer will be 6 for this. So that's all, everyone. Hope you would have understood the question and answer session. If you have any further query, just put the comment below. I would like to answer it. That's all from now. So guys, if you want more videos like this, like, share, comment and don't forget to subscribe for the latest videos.